Okay, welcome back everybody. Welcome back to another one of these. Happy autumn to everyone. In conjunction with the new Deftones record dropping in just a few days here, it comes out on Tuesday, I thought I'd do one of these ranking videos, bottom to top, of the Deftones discography. This time it's just going to be studio albums only, because they do have a couple covers records. Well, one's a covers record, and one is a B-sides and rarities record. And the B-sides and rarities one in particular is actually really good. So maybe if that one sneaks into the collection, when Ohms comes out, I'll have to, rejigger the whole list already. First up, though, bottom of the pile is Saturday Night Wrist, which, this is already a testament to how good the Deftones are, how solid their discography is, because this is still a good record. It's just kind of a transitional record. Sadly, it's the last one with their bassist Chi. He got in a brutal car accident and was in a coma for a long time, and passed away a little more recently. So yeah, a long hard battle there. So this one, it's a decent record. I'm putting it at the bottom, but I'd still give it like a 3 out of 5 or so. If you're in the right mood, it's good. And there's definitely a lot of choice tracks on here. I remember when this dropped, Hole in the Earth, we'd play that one a lot. And Kim Dracula is also a highlight. And I mean, great album art. There's some bands that have great album art, and there's some people that are, Bruce Springsteen or John Mellencamp make great music, especially The Boss, but they never have good album art. But yeah, that one's nice in more ways than one. Next up is the at the date of this video, the most recent, but in 3 or 4 days that won't be true anymore, is Gore. I remember being very excited for this one, and I wouldn't say it disappointed at all. It was a good record. To be fair, I haven't listened to this one in quite a while. A couple of these tracks have come up recently on playlists, and it's not quite as good as, it's hard to topple the two that came before it, so maybe it's expectations, and I know a lot of people don't like this one, my cousin being one of them, but I actually, it's still a good record, and Doomed User is probably my highlight track. I really like that one a lot. Next up, it kind of pained me to put this one so low, because this is the eponymous one, aka self-titled, aka Deftones, or we could just call it the Skull album, and that's beauty album art right there too as I drop it. Yeah, as I was saying, it kind of, kind of shook me to realize that this one's actually so low, because I remember when this came out, and I did find Deftones around when Change in the House of Flies came out, which is off the last record before this, White Pony. But yeah, when this came out, the record full kind of solidified my fandom, and Minerva, the first single, was just huge, and Hexagram just blew my mind. It was so heavy, and to this day remains one of my very favorite Deftones tracks. There's lots of other good songs on here, like Battle Axe and Bloody Cape, and it's like Saturday Night Wrist. It's got a lot of really heavy hitters, and then also some kind of more electronic leading tracks. It's a very interesting record, and it's still a good one. I almost feel bad putting it so low, and I had to really think, is this behind or ahead? This is controversial to put so low. This is a lot of people's favorite. A lot of people would say this is the best one. Oh, my cat's eating things he shouldn't. So this one's got, I gotta say, this one's got two of my all-time favorite Deftones songs on it, Digital Bath and Change in the House of Flies. Really there's not a bad song on this record, and the production is amazing. So, yeah. Terry Date. Okay, next up we got Around the Fur, which I think might have been the first, yeah, it definitely was the first Deftones, what are you up to down there? He's really looking for attention, he's a jealous cat. The rock and roll kitty. So, yeah, I definitely bought this because of Be Quiet and Drive Far Away, which is, you know, probably my favorite Deftones song, and really blew my mind when it came out originally. Um, so, yeah, I remember buying this and not really feeling the rest of the record, and then I'd listen again, and I'd like, you know, one more song, and then I'd listen again and like one more song. Until like the 10th listen where I was sold. I loved the whole thing. So yeah, the title track is great. Head Up is really heavy. It's really amazing. And Be Quiet and Drive is, you know, definitely one of those 10 out of 10 classics. Next up is the debut, which is Adrenaline. And this is, you know, there's not a bad song on this one. This is definitely a more heavy, raw direction, or it's the first one. That's why it's so raw. But I think that works in its favor. And yeah, I remember, I think it was the first time we saw them live, they pulled out like three songs from this, and that really surprised me and really surprised my buddy who had seen them prior and said, oh, we're not going to hear anything from Adrenaline. Of course, by the time we saw them, it was with Sergio as the bass player. My buddy had seen them, I guess it was like 4 years prior or something, with Chi as bassist. And I really love Sergio as the bass player for this band. I think that was, you know, the best decision. But that doesn't pertain to this album. Anyway, they pulled out 3 cuts from this record, and that was amazing right there. I think the highlights would probably be maybe the first 3 songs. That's a really great run. For Real's great, Engine Number 9. And yeah, I always forget, but Terry Date produced this one too. Yeah, I had good times with my buddy there, and that concert probably stands as one of the most memorable ones ever. The funny thing about that friend is, you know, he was a hardcore metalhead, and he played in a death metal band, and Deftones, we always would go to the pub together, and we'd always talk about Deftones because it was the heaviest thing that I listened to and the mellowest thing he listened to. So if you think of one of those circle graphs, that's right in the middle where our interest would meet. And yeah, I can't think of you know, a better heavy group than Deftones, because they're so experimental, and they're so you know, they're not restrained by any, you know, chains or I want to say expectations, but there's always fans like that. But I think that they're really left to their own freedoms and their own devices, and that's how they crank out so many of these great albums. So the number 2 is Koi no Yukin, which you know, kind of solidified their place that they had been building up to as being kind of the Radiohead of heavy music, because, you know, they're so talented and so experimental and stuff like that. And just like I said for Adrenaline, like, there's not a bad cut on this one. You know, it hits you hard with Swerve City, and it doesn't let go. Leathers was amazing. I think that was a teaser single before this actually dropped. Tempest was massive, kind of like Minerva, like just this huge song with a huge wall of sound and amazing production. Yeah, Romantic Dreams was good. Yeah, not really a bad one on that one either. And then my favorite, bar none, I think I decided the day it dropped almost, and that's Never Let Up, Diamond Eyes. And this was the tour I first saw them on. I saw them again on the next one. And both amazing shows. And, you know, Chino was actually pretty on point. I think the second one, his voice, he was kind of losing it. I think they had been on tour for a long time. But, yeah, I mean, they have a reputation, like, you know, they hit or they miss live. and it's mostly Chino, right? But he does have a pretty demanding task. Like when he screams there, like on rocket skates and stuff like that, you know, he means business. Um, so obviously, like the last two, I have to repeat myself and say, there's not a bad thing on this joint. In fact, it starts with Diamond Eyes, which is like, quite a whoa opener for a lot of people. But I think it's the weakest song, and that's pretty good. Like, most albums start off with arguably the best song and then kind of peter out somewhere along the way. But yeah, that one's the weakest. It just builds and builds. Royal, the next one, is one of my favorites. You've Seen the Butcher and Rocket Skates are two of my all-time favorite Deftones songs. Maybe right after Be Quiet and Drive. They're pretty hard. Toy Boat. They're pretty high up there. Sex Tape is great. Command Control. Diamond Eyes. So, yeah, we'll see where Ohms ranks. I think it's going to be quite high. I'm really excited for the record. What I've read about it has been amazing. It's out in only 3 or 4 days. So I'll probably have to stream it when it comes out because my copy's in the mail, but there's been a delay, COVID-19 and the mail strikes, and there's a bunch of other stuff going on now. But yeah, I'll definitely stream it day one. I'm very excited for it. The two singles are absolutely stellar. I specifically like Genesis a lot. I know that, is it the production that people were kind of on? Most people, I think it's mostly got a positive reception, but I do hear kind of some negative things in the echo chamber. But that doesn't really matter. I think on Rate Your Music, it's already bold status or something, and I can see why. I think it's their best tune since maybe one of the Koi no Yukin tunes. Or anyway, I'm really excited. It's really heavy, and I think a lot of the record will follow suit. I think it'll be another one that straddles the line between ethereal and just kind of balls to the wall, just destroy you heaviness. So yeah, maybe we'll talk about that when that comes out. I don't think I'll be posting too much about heavy music because I don't know too much about it, but Deftones are, guys I'll always ride for. They're, they're here to stay for me, and so maybe we'll talk about some more Deftones after that releases, and yeah, just, let me know how you feel about the tones and, where you would rank their records. And, yeah, we'll get a conversation going. And, there's a lot more videos to come. A lot more exciting things happening in music this fall. New Avalanches, Deftones, as I said, Gorillaz, we'll be talking about that. Just in every genre, the new Fleet Foxes just came out, and it's one of the best records of the year. So yeah, there's lots of variety, and lots of cool things to talk about. So stay safe, everyone. Peace and love, and yeah, I'm gonna get out there. It's a nice day today. It was supposed to be lightning.